There's a picture of the tank that I redid. I did make a video explaining this bloody thing down here, this wheel bike starter, and I've lost it. So these two things here, originally it was on this side. I've already made it, but I'm just going to tell you about this, otherwise it's a bit confusing, I suppose. I had the shaft; those were around the other way, and these stuck out the other side. This side, I had two of them. I thought the big impact guns would have spun that wheel, but it didn't. So the way I originally made this, it didn't work. So yeah, on the first video, if you've watched it, yeah, this second video is how I've redone it, and now it works. So just watch the video if you want. This thing out here on the bench, what I'd like to do is mount this starter motor down in here, and then sort of, if I can rig up a sprocket on something here, and run a sprocket and chain there to there, for starters, so it'll run both of those. And I'm going to have to see if it's possible to do this. I don't even know if I can do it. But one thing I'm doing at the moment is I want to concave them down. I don't want them flat, because the wheel walks like it moves, so if it's concave it'll stay down in the middle there. So I'm going to pull this apart. I'm going to do that. What I want to do is cut that off. So I'm just going to smooth that out, then I'll just cut that off. I want to get that out of there so I can just V that down a bit, either make a V or sort of a whatever, so the tyre will track good. For starters, I want to change that. Now I've got to figure out how the hell I'm going to run this bloody starter motor. I might have to look up something on the internet. I'll see if I can film a bit of this without making too much mess. Sorry about that thing, it's just spinning there. Hopefully it doesn't break. Pretty hard, that. Really wobbling a bit. Have to do this one-handed, two-handed. What was wrong, chuck was loose, and plus that button inserts no good for that. So I'm just going to cut this down a bit. It's a bit hard doing this one hand. I need to get some new inserts. What the idea is, smooth that out, and then I'm going to cut it off. I want to try and keep it as long as I can, because I'm not sure how much of that material I'm going to use. Well, let's turn this on this final pass, because I've got the thing on automatic. It turns by itself. It's doing it better. That's just about done. Then I'm going to cut that off, and then have a crack at doing that better. I'm not happy with it. That should just about do that. Go with that. I've turned this part here 2 degrees. That's all it is. Look how much it's taken out of the centre. That'll be plenty. So I'm going to flip it around and do the same to that side. Then I'm going to try and knurl it. I'll do the other one. Film some of this. I'm not a machinist. I never said I was a machinist. I'm just doing it the way I feel like how I can do it. That should be in the center where that stops. should be pretty close. 22 degrees. So now I'm going to try and knurl that. I'll just go into the center, flip it around, do the other side. Use one of these things. I'm not even sure if I can actually do this because you normally knurl on the half nut, which is this business here, and it goes automatically. So I'm just going to try and do it by hand. I need 2 hands. And we'll see how it turns out. That's not too bad. That'll work. And the wheel shouldn't track across like it did. So I'll flip that around, do the other side. You're never going to get it perfect doing it by hand. It's sort of like, it's a bit like threading doing that. The machine does it for you. But yeah, I'm doing it with 2 hands, so see how the other side goes. Yeah, you got a bit of a thing there. The tyre will sit better there. For doing that by hand, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is just put a little notch in, 2 notches there, so these grub screws go into that and it'll stop that from slipping. Now I'll put that together, I'll do the other one. Back on, I did groove those out so the grub screws pick that up, it can't slip. I noticed that was slipping before when I was trying it with the impactors. So now that can't slip. It's got 4 grub screws bedded into that. Now this one's ready to go. I'm just going to do the same thing. That's set on 2 degrees, that's all. So starting from about there, and then just pushing it forward on the cross slide, that digs it in to where I've got it marked, and then I'll flip it around to the other side, and I'll leave it like that, and I'll knurl it on the same setting. I haven't got any way of filming this, so on the last bit of this. Probably going to have to neaten that off with 2 hands, that last bit. I'll stop it in a sec. After that, it's freaking hard on your hands doing that. I'll flip it over, do that, drill these couple of pinholes out to catch the grub screw and put it back together. Then I've got to figure out how to work the starter to get it to spin. That back together, that's concaved in now. That's the way I should have done it in the first place. I've still got to weld these couple of bits up here. Drill that out. And now I've got to figure out how I'm going to make this, something like that, spin these. Needs a little bit of grease, that. Is it tight? No, it just needs a bit of grease. Anyway, that's that for today. There's that. I've mounted the starter. I cut a hole with a big hole saw, just slowly. That's in position where I want it. I'll probably cut this part off and have to make a bracket for that to hold that. Unless I can pull it apart. But I'm going to put a 11 tooth sprocket there. I'm getting 2 17s, one from here to here. And I'm also going to get another 18 to run from there to there. It's all going to be size number 35 chain. I've got 5 foot of chain coming as well. It only cost me 19 bucks. So all up, the chains and the sprockets that's going on eBay is going to cost me less than $70 delivered. I'm really happy with how this thing's coming out. It's going to turn out really good. It's still got a little bit of, it's not bad, but it might need a bit of shimming to get that bit freer, but yeah, I've got the sprockets coming. It's going to come from China. This part here, so you sort of still need that thing there that holds that. But you could make something out of steel, but I've sort of aimed that sort of to here. So I'm going to cut the back out of it, probably pull it apart. And I'm going to mount a sprocket to that. But when you can do it probably without the solenoid, but I'm going to try and do it so when it works, it'll jump forward and it'll tighten the chain, if I can. Like I said, I've never done this before. I'm just trying to figure it out, but I'm pretty happy with it. I've seen others that people have made and they look pretty crap. These old jack things, they're perfect for it. Absolutely perfect. And now that tank's ready to stripe. Not today, but I'm going to punch these holes here and finish bolting that. And I've got these things here that'll mark the centre of the hole. Pick the right size tool. Use this one. Yeah. Do that. You only just mark it with that, then you hit it with a real punch. You don't want to blunten that. Got that all bolted on now. It's actually not bad. Now all I've got to do is rig up these sprockets and the chain. They'll be in a week or two. See how that turns out. As long as it spins it, that's it. It's going to be fairly lightweight, and you can't see those sprockets and chain adding much weight to it. It's not going to have an onboard battery. You just carry the battery and plug it in. I'm thinking of doing something different to the Norton, so a little bit different to normal. We'll see how that turns out too. Back on this thing, I've got the sprockets that I've ordered. There's a chain, there's plenty of chains, 5 feet of that. It comes at a link, but I ordered 2 extra ones. Now, I've got to figure out the best way to do this. I was planning on putting that on the end of the starter motor, and you just jump it without the solenoid, and that doesn't move. If you start it with a solenoid, that flicks it. That flicks forward. So if you don't use the starter motor, that doesn't move. So I can put that on the end there. And I'm just looking at it. That might pick up in there and just spin it like a flywheel sort of thing. I don't know how long that'd last. Anyway, I've just got to figure out how to do this. Well, what my plan was, 2 17s, one here, run a chain, and this 18 here, and a 10, and another chain. See how we go. I'm going to swap these around. I'm going to have this longer one here at the front. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to either thread it or whatever, but I'm going to put a pin through it as well. If I weld that on there, I can't get it back apart. And like I've got to extend both of them. So this way I only have to extend one. I'll just extend this one. I'm going to figure this out as I go. I've tapped both of these 17 mils at 11 M11 by 1.5. So that's about 15 mil. I'm going to take that down to about 12.5, and I'm going to thread that, and then I'm just going to screw it on, and the way it'll spin, it'll just keep tightening it. Otherwise, if I weld it on, I'll never get it back apart. I've got the first sprocket on, so I want that to pull tight when it spins, but I've just realised I'm going to have to flick this around and put this on that side, because it's got to go that way. Because if that spins forward, the wheel will spin backwards, and I don't want that. I want it to spin forward. So that's got to be changed. I'll do that tomorrow. Change that. I just had to put that on the inside and put that on the inside. So I did have the starter on this side and the thing sticking out there, but it would have spun backwards. Now it goes like that. I'm just going to pull this apart and have a look inside. I'm actually thinking of cutting that off. That solenoid. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not, but that's what I'm thinking of doing. Right, here's this thing pulled apart. That's the motor. And this stuff here. But what I'm thinking of doing is deleting. You don't need that bit. That can just. I'm thinking of cutting this off. I'm not going to use the solenoid. I'm going to cut this front section off here. Make it all up how I want it. Then I'm going to have to make a new one of these and bolt it to the side of the thing to hold it steady. That's what I'm thinking of doing. So I'm going to cut that off now. I'm going to cut that off. And see what happens. Well, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I'm going to put that piece of steel on the end of there. I'm going to actually drill a hole in that. I'm going to just stick that out the end of there. Like that. I am going to delete this rubbish on the side. I'm not going to use that. This stuff here can just sit there. It can just stay there. I'm just going to have to extend the shaft so it meets that. That's probably what I'll do. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking of doing at the moment. So if I drill a hole in that, I'm going to have to make that bush down in there bigger. Because this little thing here works sort of like a bearing. that there, and it sits into that lip down there. This outer lip. So I want to make that, drill that out, that brass bush, so this fits through it. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. Threaded both of them. I've left enough space to put a nut. So I've sleeved that, and that fits over that nice. So I'm going to set this up in the lathe here, weld that, then I'm going to turn it back down nice and smooth, and I'm going to still have this little bearing thing there. Now I'm only putting that on to protect the thread while I weld it. And then I'll drill that other thing, and hopefully it works. If not, it's going in the bit different. I've threaded the end of that, and I've threaded this rod, so I'm going to screw that in there, then weld it. And I'll cut this off and thread it first for M9, I think I'm using on these sprockets. I'll double check what it is. That's a little sprocket, it's smaller. Third time's a charm, really. So I've threaded it in there, and that's M9 to fit that. I've made that smaller. That one, I took it down too far. The first one broke. Third one. Now I've threaded the end of that. So I'm going to screw that into there and then weld it and then take it down to that size. That's my plan anyway, and I'm going to have to drill that out 12 mil. Finally, I've got this all ready. I've decided it doesn't need to be welded. It's actually quite strong. I'm just going to Loctite it, because as it spins, it tightens itself. I've got that bush, pulled that bush out, drilled it out, I've drilled the end of that out, and now it all fits in. And I'm going to put this damn thing together. It's taken way too long. I decided to weld that, now I'm just going to clean it up. There it is, cleaned up. You know, sorry I haven't filmed any of this, but it's taken me, I'm very slow at doing these machine shit, and yeah, it's taken too long. Yeah, she's in. Man, that took a bit. I think what time did I come down here? About 9, it's Sunday today. So 3 hours I ended up, man. Well, the first one broke. Anyway, that's in. I'm going to throw this together and put it on. That's it, I've had enough. But that turned out really good, I got to admit. It did take me a long time, but that is very good. Like, that's not going to break. That's threaded and welded. And it's just good. So when that's, what I'm going to do is, next thing I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to drill that out, thread it into there and weld it. And then I'll thread it, I'll put the 2 sprockets on, and then I can put the chains on. But that ain't today, I've had enough. So this is the last one of these things I'm going to tap. The last sprocket. This is M11, I've done the bigger sprockets. Just doing this with one hand at the moment, but there's no point in filming this. I'm sure you know what that looks like. I'm just going to do that and then make the shaft. I'll see if this bloody stand thing works. I've got the camera sitting on a stand. I'm just going to drill a hole in that and then tap it. I've got this thing set up here. It's a bit far from the chuck. All right, we'll see what happens. I've already drilled a little center hole that. I did that ages ago. So we'll see what happens. Sort of see it from here. I'll chuck a little bit of oil there. Far in I want to go. Further than that, I know that. Hang on. It's been an absolute nightmare, this. I found out why that when I was spinning that roller it was stiff in a couple of spots. The shaft in the centre was bent. So I've managed to straighten it. I've got to run a real nice true. I'm just giving this a final flick with this thing, clean it up, then tap it. It's like it's taken way too long, like anything. Man, it's taken way too long. Anyway, I'm going to turn this off, that chirping's bloody annoying. Right, finally got that bloody thing on and straight and tapped. I had to go to M12, the M11 wasn't going to do, it was too small. It was just leaving too much mess. I'm going to put this on now, that on, I've got a nut and a bolt, that's it. Finally, I didn't think that was going to take so long, eh? Wow. She's all ready to go. It drives this chain. Obviously, that's going to hook up to there. That's going to hook up to there. I've got the chain, but man, it just took so long. She's getting there, but wow, talk about take forever. Well, that's still not tight. Okay, I'll sort that out. She's getting there, but yeah, tomorrow I'll put on the chains and give it a run. We'll see how she goes. See if we'll even start something. I actually thought I was going to get that on in a couple of hours. Nah, no way. Started at 9, it's now 2. That's 5 hours freaking around with that. I don't know, I'm just slow at doing shit with the machine. If I was going to redo this, now I know what to do. I'd make that axle longer. Just big long axle. This one here was a good length. Didn't have to be lengthened. But this one had to be lengthened, and what a hassle. What a bloody hassle. Anyway, she's getting there. Tomorrow I'll put the chains on it. Time to put the chain on. I'll just cut it to length. I may have to put a tensioner. I do have a couple of things I can use for a tensioner. We'll see, because I haven't made any adjustment. I could possibly make this adjustable, but I don't want to. We'll see. Just come into an annoying problem. The stupid sprockets that I bought from China don't fit the chain. It's supposed to be a number 30 sprocket, and it's a number 30 chain, I know that. Freaking Chinese. Can't they do anything right? Now I've got to try and find a chain to fit those sprockets. And it's going to be smaller. Oh, man. I'm going to have to get proper sprockets. These things just aren't the right size. That blows that out the door. And I was hoping to test this today. I'm going to have to go up and message these clowns. 35 actually. 35, I couldn't remember. I'm going to have to go up and double check that they're not... For some reason I've got a feeling they're number 30, these bloody sprockets. Anyway, I'm going to have to go up and check all this because them sprockets are wrong. Anyway, this thing's all done. I've just got to get a nut for that. It doesn't even need it because when it goes, it tightens it, but it's a weird size. It's M9 by 125. That doesn't stick out far enough. It doesn't even need it. I only just put that there because I made the shaft longer. Anyway, unfortunately, I was hoping to test this today, but those sprockets are the wrong size. That's a number 35 chain. They're supposed to be number 35 sprockets, and they're bloody not. So they've either got to give me the right sprockets or I've got to get a different chain. I've got to start to figure out what size these sprockets are. That's what I'm about to go and do now. I'm back from Sydney. A little bit loud here. It's raining at the moment. The new sprockets turned up while I was away, and now they are the correct sprockets. See that? They're actually both the same size. It's just these ones have been made wrong. These ones have been made wrong. You can just tell by looking at them that they're different. They're both the same sprocket. Like, see how that's thicker than that? That's a 30, supposed to be a 35, number 35 sprocket, and that's a 35 sprocket, which fits a 35 chain. It should do that. Anyway, I'm going to machine these, get them on, and put the chain on them. These sprockets, they're useless. There's no chain in the world that fits those. They don't make it. It just doesn't happen. The way you measure the pitch of a sprocket, you can go off the centre of the tooth, but a lot of times you just go off the front edge of the tooth. Like, see that front edge there? You just go straight off that and that. And that the distance between there and there is your pitch. And there's no in between. Like, that's 9, these sprockets here are 9.525 millimetres, which is 3/8. Those first ones I bought, the 10.44. They just don't fit the chain. And the way you measure the pitch of the chain is exactly the same thing. You measure from either the front or the centre of that there. You usually just measure at the front to there. And that is exactly the same distance as that. Just thought I'd throw that in, for those that don't know. I got all the machining done on these sprockets. Because they're a different width, it threw everything out. But I've decided to put a locking pin there as well as thread, so I don't need to have bolts on the end. That's just a bit extra. I might cut that off, might not. I might even shove a nut on there, we'll see. I just don't have a 9 by 125. I probably got one somewhere. But yeah, that took some tricky work to get that all lined up. Anyway, you're ready to put the chains on. I'm not doing it today, I've had enough. Finally get that on and nice and tight. I've made that so you can move that backwards and adjust it. Because it was a half link out. It was super floppy. I'm probably gonna have to do the same with this back roller, because it's similar. Anyway, I'll just keep going. Finally got that on. I did have to make this adjustable. I had to pull it back apart and elongate that center hole, and then I had to elongate all 8 of those. So I didn't film that, it's just too bloody boring. I can make that a little bit tighter, but I don't want it too tight. That one's, I can adjust that back a little bit if it's too tight, but that does have more adjustment, but I think it'll be fine. I will probably end up, I might make a little guard here, but whatever. That's enough. That just took way too long, like way too long. You think I thought I was just gonna come in and throw the chains on? Nope. Everything was like a half link out, and it was just too floppy, like way too floppy. Yeah, I just made a little guard for here. That's not bolted on tight. I'll just prime putty that. I'll flick some black on it tomorrow. That's enough for now. It's pretty much ready to go. I'm just waiting on a switch for this thing I've made over here. Well, it's still in the lathe actually, the handle bit, but hopefully the switch will come tomorrow or today. I just made that out of that. I'm going to put a little button on here. That's going to operate the roll starter. I'll probably make 2. I've got other buttons coming. I'm just going to use this one for now. It's just a push one I've got coming. That's a flick on and off job. I don't really want that tight. Oh, and that thing done. I just tested it. It works like a champ. I made a little guard for it. I've just put some chrome wrap there. Couldn't be. I put spray putty and crap on it, sanded it down. Then I just put that chrome wrap on it. It's good enough. So I've got an Anderson plug. Here's my little thing I made here. I've got a push, just a push switch coming. Put that there. So when you use these things, you've got to sit on the bike. So I'll just hold it here like that. Works like the bloody champ. I'm happy with that. I still haven't finished the timing. I still haven't finished the ignition timing. I've done the valve timing, and I've still got to plumb this. So that'll be getting done soon. I'm in no rush to finish this bike. I'm not selling it. I'm not going to race it or nothing. I just want to make it because I bought it and I wasn't even going to do anything to it, but when I seen how much of a heap of shit it was, I had to rebuild it. Anyway, that came out $1 million. Those things are expensive, and if you're ever going to make one and you got to spare one of these jack things, I could sell those. If I got these plates cut out similar to that, I'd change it a little bit at the front here, and you easily get $1,000 for that. Anyway, I might slap a video on there because I've got heaps of videos on this phone. There's just not much room. I'll make a little video show you this, then I'm back on the Honda. My mate just messaged me. He's built his Honda engine, and he's got the exact same problem. It will not fire on the first cylinder. So it makes me feel a little bit better because he knows a hell of a lot about these Hondas. I'll wait till he figures it out. But no, seriously, I'm back on the Honda now. I just wanted to finish that, and I've done a heap of other stuff. All done. So I'm back on the Honda. Thanks for that.